craft room was finally going to be organised this year, wasn't it? How's that going? As crafters, we do tend to collect a lot of supplies. So many supplies, so many. It makes sense that at this time of the year, many of us are thinking about organising and decluttering our spaces. It's a daunting task, and you'll be horrified to know that you could be making it even harder on yourself. So much harder. I want you to have the craft room of your dreams. So in today's video, I'll show you exactly where you could be going wrong and how to make organising and decluttering easy. I've done it the hard way and I've learned the lessons. So learn from me and avoid these big mistakes. Oh yes, and I hope you're ready for a little controversy because I do have an unpopular opinion to share. Let's get started. The first big mistake is all or nothing thinking. Making the big decision to reorganize your craft space is great, but don't try to do everything all at once. Rome was not built in a day, and neither is an organised craft space. It's way better to think of this as a process and a way of living, rather than deciding one day that you finally want to get organised and try to achieve that overnight. So what should you do instead? You're so much better off working through your space section by section in a very methodical way. That way you can stop at any moment and you won't be left in a mess. This method is also one that you'll be able to sustain over a longer period of time, and that will give you long-term success. And I guess you're thinking, well, yep, that makes sense, but where do I start? The second big mistake that many creatives make is starting with the hard stuff. This is a very daunting task, and right now you're super keen to get it done, but that enthusiasm won't last, and the last thing you want is to be knee-deep in supplies that have been pulled out from every nook and cranny. So what should you do instead? Start with the easy stuff. Remove any rubbish and broken items and any items that you know you no longer want to keep. Oh, and stop buying stuff. There, I said it. I know, but any new item that you bring into your craft space will need to be allocated at home. And if you've already recognized that you have too many things, adding new supplies will just slow your progress. It's time to stop the flow of new things coming into your space so you can get back some law and order. This leads me to mistake number 3, and that is thinking that you can organize your way out of clutter. This is a harsh reality. I hope you're ready for some tough love here, because if you're feeling overwhelmed by the number of supplies you have too many. And no amount of organising is going to fix that. It's time to take a look at your excess and let some things go. And I know that's hard. I know that can be so hard. I have actually made a separate video on this, and it's filled with loads of tips and tricks for getting a clutter-free craft room and how to keep it that way. I'll be sure to link it below. Mistake number 4 is thinking that you need a lot of time to have an organised craft space. No, you don't. You just need 5 minutes, and 5 minutes matters. If you're feeling overwhelmed, work in 5-minute blocks. Just do 5 minutes worth of organising. You'll actually be really surprised at how much progress you can make just in 5-minute blocks over time. I also find it super helpful to pack up after every project. It does only take 5 minutes, and it stops piles of supplies from being stacked up on all kinds of flat surfaces. Here's a challenge for you. Why not set a timer for 5 minutes and just see how much you can achieve? Let me know how it goes in the comments below. This leads me to mistake number 5, and that is misdirection. It's super easy to get overwhelmed, especially in the beginning, and to start seeking out the perfect system, the perfect storage container, the perfect way to organize your supplies. And that is all just misdirection. There is no such thing as a perfect solution, a perfect container, or a perfect system. This is not a one size fits all kind of thing. And all that research is not actually getting you closer to your goal of having a dream craft room. You won't know what's going to work until you get started. You'll work it out as you go and you'll find what works for you. Mistake number 6 is thinking that containers hold these magical superpowers and that they are going to fix all of your problems. Reality is, containers are just another thing that you have to manage and organize. And I'm willing to guess that you already have enough containers, you just have too many things. Dana K. White from A Slob Comes Clean describes containers perfectly. I love her videos. She says that containers contain. They set limits. I know, it's genius, right? They are actually the bad guys because they're the ones that limit the supplies that you can store. So what should you do instead? Let the containers do their job. Let them limit the supplies. And guess what? Your craft room is a container too. There is only so much that it can hold. While we're talking about containers, mistake number 7 is overfilling them. You don't want to fill every square inch of every single container that you have. The goal here is not to get the most things into the smallest space. The goal is to efficiently store and organize only the things that you use and love. So what should you do instead? Let your supplies breathe. Only fill containers half to 3/4 full. And this is probably going to mean a little bit of decluttering. Not sure where to start with that? Focus on trendy designs, the things that were really on trend a few years back that you are not going to be using anymore. Then curate a collection of supplies that are timeless, that can be used over and over again into the coming years. This leads me super nicely into mistake number 8, and that is collecting supplies that only have a single use. Every item in your craft space should be multi-use. Here's what I mean by that. You could purchase Valentine's Day paper, wedding paper, and anniversary paper. Or you could choose a collection of supplies that would work with all of those themes. Focus on only having multifunctional tools rather than super specific ones that only do one job. Don't invest in stamps and dies that are very trendy or ones that have very specific icons on them. You're much better off choosing something that's more general that will stand the test of time. This will not only allow you to have fewer supplies, but you'll save a bunch of money. Mistake number 9 is forgetting just how important accessibility is. Many people will talk about keeping your tools very handy, but you also need to consider just how easy it is to put things away. Items should be easier to put away than they are to pull out. And that's because when you pull them out, you're motivated to do that. The same can't be said when you're going to put them away. You're just not naturally motivated to put things away properly. You need to make that part as simple as possible. If you need to stand on a stool, fiddle with lids and stack boxes, you're not actually going to do it. So what should you do instead? Make things as simple as possible to pop away. Mistake number 10 is to only think about function when it comes to storage and organization. Everyone will tell you that it doesn't matter what your storage looks like. So upcycle boxes, reuse what you have, because the only important thing is function. And I disagree with that. I know it's a hot take. Of course, function is important, But if you have pretty storage, storage that you love, you are far more likely to use it. If you're looking for a clean and consistent look, you're just not going to get that with upcycled boxes. But you don't have to sell a kidney either. Just stick to one colour for all of your storage items and you'll be on your way. I do have one more tip to share with you, but now's the time we get to learn from each other. I'm sure you've made mistakes just like I have, and I want to hear about them. Let me know in the comments below. If decluttering is one of your big goals this year, be sure to check the description box below. I'll link there a bunch of resources and videos that are sure to help. Now on to mistake number 11, and that is not keeping things simple. The more supplies that you have, the more detailed the systems you need to manage them. Imagine the work that goes in behind the scenes at scrapbook.com to manage that inventory. What a process that would be to keep track of everything. Good news, you're not a store and you don't need nearly as much as you think. You're a very creative person, and I'm sure that if you didn't have the perfect shade of cardstock for your process, you would come up with a very clever substitute. Now that you know these mistakes, you're ready to watch this video next. I'll see you all again very soon. Until then, bye!